So I also want to ask the question of how come labels don't fully explain who a neurodivergent person actually is? Because even though labels are important to describe a neurodivergency, I feel like they sometimes don't always describe who a neurodiverse person actually is on the inside.
Yes, wonderful questions. Yes, labels are necessary to get medical services, right? Because we have to be able to define someone on paper so that they can get the proper supports they need. We have to say that their communication is profoundly impacted in order to get speech therapy services, or their motor movements are profoundly impacted in order to get OT or PT services, right? So we need it for medical treatment. But if we're talking about how we genuinely characterize a person and a soul, no person can be put into a box like that. Everybody is so different and so unique. And there's a scientific word for this, heterogeneity within autism specifically, meaning no one person shows up the same as another. And
That's right.
one thing, yeah, sorry, did you have a thought about that?
Yeah, I was thinking that it's good to know that everyone is different and that, like you said about being put away in the box, that's not a great way to think of some others. And it's truly great to understand what a person needs in their everyday life. So now you can continue what you were saying.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, good thought. Because we have to for the medical services and coverage, but when we're talking person to person, I would never define someone and put them in a box and keep them there, right? Because not only is that impossible, but also everybody grows and everybody changes a little bit.
That's right. Everybody changes and goes through certain phases in their everyday lives. Not all of them last forever, but some of them can remain, and that's what change is all about, especially if it means growing up and maturing.
Yeah. Yeah, and we never want to be what we call deficits based. We don't want to define someone on what they cannot do. We want to be focused on what they can do and what they're motivated to get better at.
Yeah, and that's how we can improve on certain skills so we can get better because there may be something that you want to learn how to do but don't know how to do it yet. But if you keep practicing and maturing, then you'll get better and better at it.
Yeah. Is there something that you want to get better at?
Well, there are numerous things I want to get better at, and especially voice acting. I think that would be really interesting.
Oh my gosh, that would be such a cool job.
Yeah, it really would if I have to be honest, because I'd get to voice a lot of characters and just entertain teens, kids, and adults.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I hope you get plenty of practice and that happens for you. I know it can.
Yeah, I know it can as well. And I also want to explain how I feel like students and families can tell when a school isn't supportive because I also feel like schools can't be supportive enough for some students. So, are there any ways that students and families can tell when a school isn't supported, and what is something that they can do about it?
That's a wonderful question. I unfortunately did work in a school system where the students were not being supported enough. And I think one way you can tell is if the school isn't being responsive to your questions, or you don't feel like they are fully reading IEPs or documents about your learner, that is one surefire way to tell that your learner is maybe not getting enough support or attention. And unfortunately, that is based on the resources that the school has access to. So that would be a governmental and state change that would have to happen, or that family can go and receive outside services outside of the school system too. So that's what Support the Spectrum provides is an outside resource for speech therapy services. And you mentioned that you got services in school and outside of school, right?
That's right. It's great that I got speech and therapy services inside and outside of school because it really got to where I am today. And I think numerous other neurodivergent students, especially those with autism, could use a little speech therapy and occupational therapy, especially in school.
Yeah, and I hope they do get those services, and I hope that their school is providing them with enough support. But if they are not, I would recommend going to an outside clinic if possible.
Yeah, that also sounds like a good way of how neurodivergent people can express their true selves and understand what they're going through and explain what they're going through to numerous um therapists and doctors as well.
Yeah.
All right. And I also want to mention that I feel like things such as screen time, special interests, or stimming can be reframed as healthy. So, what are some ways that things such as screen time, special interests, or stimming can be reframed as healthy ways to cope instead of being ways to fix problems?
Great question. I just posted a long form YouTube video about screen time and how screen time is actually not only beneficial, but sometimes necessary for neurodivergent people. There's a few studies that show us that the effect of screen time on neurodivergent people is different than on neurotypical people. Now, most autistic people are Gestalt language processors. Have you heard that term before?
Hmm. Can you tell me what that means exactly?
Absolutely. So, Gestalt language processors are language learners that learn language through big chunks through music or through movie scenes first. And then they break down that language over time and build it back up into sentences that other people can understand.
Wow. Definitely sounds interesting, especially the fact where I like to watch numerous YouTube videos on my iPad. I also like watching numerous cartoons on TV, and I've also heard some other languages in movies, especially languages such as Spanish and Japanese and Chinese. Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to learn all kinds of languages other than just English.
Yes, that's a great skill to have and really, really good for your brain to know multiple languages. Yeah.